Hello, this is Carol here, and now that I have self-published a book, several people have asked me how I did it. Actually, leading up to this point, they asked me how I did it, and it's kind of a long, detailed process. You really should do some research online and check out some blogs, because they talk about everything from, how to, outline your book and how to come up with marketing plans, and, even down to the font that you use for typesetting your book. So I'm not going to talk about any of that stuff, so you can do the research for that. But I'll just tell you the steps that I sort of went through to get my book out there. When I came up with the idea about writing the book, it was based off of a bunch of blog posts that I had. I should have outlined. It would have made the process a little bit faster. But at any rate, so I shuffled them together, and then I wrote them into an order. I made basically, I just wrote the whole book. Let's just say that. That was the first step. I wrote the whole book. Then once I was done with that first draft, I sent it to a couple of friends, like call them beta readers. And the biggest thing that I was looking for them was, because I'm doing a book that has a lot of theology in it, I wanted them to check and make sure that it wasn't anything inaccurate. So they took about a month to read through it, and once they did, they gave me back the copies, and I went through and I put them all together. In some cases, I kind of had a laugh, because I was like, oh my gosh, how did they understand this? Some of it is just babbling. At any rate, so I took their notes and worked those in there, and then I rewrote the book, and strangely, the book got longer. Not because of anything they did, but because I thought I was, explaining things better. At that point, I had decided I was done. The book is written, and I should publish it. I sent it to somebody to do a little review. And they had a problem with my grammar and all that kind of stuff like that. So I thought at that point that I should probably get an editor. Okay. So there are different types of editors. The editor that I went through was, there's like a copy editor, and I can't remember the names, but basically this particular editor is the one that takes your book and, basically shapes it into book. She did a really great job, but she only had a certain amount of time to do it. So I actually needed to have my book cut down because it was so long. And she said, I don't have time to cut down this book. She did the first 2 chapters. So she said, I'm going to give it back to you for a month. And if you want to cut down, you need to cut it down yourself. So I spent the next month cutting the heck out of the book and moving things around. And it was good, because it helped me read through it again. And since I knew the book, I knew what could be cut. It just was really tiring, because by this point I had, read the book like 3 or 4 times. So I don't want to read it again. But it was better for me. So I ended up doing that, and actually ended up fixing a lot of things. So then she came along, and my technical writing thing, so basically knowing, where to put semicolons and all that kind of stuff is not very good. So she came along and had to, I guess you would say, untangle a lot of sentences. And so anyway, she went through the whole book and did that issue. And so then once that was done, it was given back to me. Somewhere in there, I realized that there is an actual art to making your book look like a book. So the next person to go to is a typesetter. So the typesetter was this wonderful lady, Jenny Lodine, and she came along and she took my words that were there and she turned them into a book. She turned them into looking like a book. she gave me like 6 different versions of what the chapter and subheadings would look like, and asked for which one I liked. So I chose the one I liked, and then she went through and she styled the whole book. She picked the way that the chapters would look, and then she took the illustrations that were in there and she wrapped those in there, and I was just thrilled with what she did. I'm thinking, okay, this is great. My book is looking like a book. It reads like a book. It actually makes sense to other people other than me. And then somebody talked to me and said that they would help me with the cover. Now, I had already had the cover, and I had the cover, I had the title. So I was just like, I was a little reluctant to take their help. But I thought, you know what, I've come this far getting help from other people. I should, not turn this person's help down. So I took that help as well. And what ended up happening is he said, if you told me what your book is about, and it's actually has nothing to do with your title. So I had to change my title. And that was really hard because I was in love with my title. In the process of that, there was, the multiple versions of the cover that I had to go through, and the multiple versions of different chapters and whatnot. Oh, I forgot to say, before you give it to the editor, of course, you get to copyright it. You want to make sure that that's protected. Then, since I was self-publishing, there are various options in self-publishing. I decided to go with CreateSpace, and basically what they do is you upload the book onto their website, and it's print on demand. They take care of the taxes, they take care of all of that stuff, and they give you a royalty from there. There it goes. Proof. Oh my gosh, it's a book! It's a book! It's a book! It's a book! Once I had uploaded it to CreateSpace, they sent me, it's called a proof, which is, you look at the book and see if everything is the way that you want it to look like. I sat down and started reading it again, and I found a ton of typos. This was after the typesetter had given it back to me, and I gave it to somebody else to type, to look for typos. And that person did an amazing job, but they don't know the way that I'm speaking. So some of the typos were just based on, I had to repunctuate the way that I was speaking, or some of them were things that were just missed. And so then once I did that, the book was published. And also just realize it's going to be a pride-swallowing siege, to quote, Cameron Crowe's Jerry Maguire. Because once you write the book and other people start to read it, they point out things that you thought were making sense. And it's a lot of change. It's a lot of change once it leaves your desk. So the trick is to accept it. embrace the change. I know change is hard, but, to sort of embrace everything that's coming at you, to hold on to your vision, but at the same time say, okay, you know what? This isn't tracking with somebody. Anyway, so that's kind of a brief overview of, how I wrote my book. Hope that's helpful.